Ready to go. We are live. Good morning. How are you doing, Miss Jennifer?
I'm doing better now.
What do
You
you mean?
just you push it all the way to the very end.
What happened? What are you talking
Oh
about?
yeah, like we're practicing, we're good, we're rocking and rolling. 2 minutes before live, and your video goes out.
That was crazy. My video, my audio, like everything just like
Like
disappeared.
yeah, and you kept coming back, going, I don't know what's rolling on.
Uh-huh. So what's going on, all you the No BS tribe out there in the Omniverse? Good morning. It's Saturday. It's 8 a.m. We have a thing about starting on time, even though things get a little hairy and a
Like
little
right
scary.
up to the minute.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Jen, has it not like been completely amazing seeing everybody like engaged since the last live stream, posting, sharing their stories, supporting one another? How's that making you feel?
It's been like a little bit crazy because you and I talk about this, and it's just I'm in awe every time as I log in, and I'm like, we're at like I don't even know how many, like 259 followers. I'm like, we were at 150 like a couple of weeks ago, and so just seeing people that are jumping on and engaging in the content, but also like seeing the value in what we're doing. It just every time I open it up, I'm just like, whoa, like what's going on? So it's
Oh,
exciting.
yeah, total. Super exciting. And with that, we started live streaming not too long ago. And the comments in the chat, like right now, we got 10 comments already in. So I'm gonna jump on the comments here in a sec. But I want to ask a favor to the No BS tribe out there that's on the Omniverse. Like, we're really not going to be able to get to all the comments, and that's kind of a good problem to have. But this is a community, so please help us support and uplift one another in the chat. Uh, you know, do whatever you can to get our attention, so we bring your comment up here. But we love you guys. Look at that, we got 14 comments.
I'm like looking at names, and I'm like, there's some people in here
Jeez.
that have not been here before. So when Dimitri is up, and she's not a morning person, so I'm going to give her a shout out. And then
Yes.
I'm thinking that unicorn is Kirby. She's letting us know. I'm going to start. I'm guessing that's Kirby.
Let's see. Yep.
And so she said, I'm going to start putting a unicorn in here so you know it's me. I'm like, Kirby, you're already improving the process.
Genius.
Yes.
We
So
got
awesome.
Miss Sarah Strand coming in from Minnesota,
Nice.
where it's nice and chilly over there, like serious cold. Sarah is the awesomest. Alejandra. So Alejandra coming in from the Netherlands. I had the privilege of being on her podcast. She's got a podcast about, do you need an education to be a creator? Super
Nice.
creative. Awesome. Actually, she interviewed me when we were at LCI Congress in Phoenix. Super awesome person. Looky. We got Mr. John Thacker in the house. Buddy. Buddy.
So keep going. But we're going to call out right now. If you're watching, if you're not commenting, we want you to comment. But if you're commenting, look at everybody else that's commenting and go follow them. Because these are the people that are showing up. These are the people that are following us, that we're following them. I mean, we're connected to these people, every one of these people in the audience. So please go and follow them, because all of them are putting some amazing things out there.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're getting flooded. So keep it coming. And yes, what Jen said, if you didn't do your homework, so Mr. James confesses he did not do. That's all right. Like we're gonna get there. We got Dr. M. Y'all need to check him out. He's got a vodcast on YouTube, and I got to take in one of them. Seems to be a theme going around about fake lean, and so for all the lean practitioners out there, there's some good content in there that you might be able to apply to your coaching and application out there in the world.
Oh my gosh, we got Will from Brazil.
God. Yes. Juan. Oh my goodness. Okay. So somebody mentioned homework. Well, no. What are we going to talk about today, Jen?
I'm completely pushing this back on you. So I'm going to make you have to do some talking today. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to get the audience is going to help me continue to push you to maybe share some things today.
Oh, there's my good buddy Hans. jumping on from Minnesota. Good day for ice fishing. He's promised to take me ice fishing, and I'm gonna take him up on that, even though I'm delicate.
But we're going to talk about your impact.
We're gonna
how have you identified it? How are you identifying it? How do we identify it? We're going to talk through that today.
100%. So it's a we conversation today, right? Last time we had you up on the ropes, and it was fun. And then you said, well, hell no, like, Jesse, we're gonna get you up there, right? Like that. This isn't cool. Somebody's calling you out. Somebody's calling you out.
Kirby, killing me. We're talking about impact today. That's
we're talking about impact, and specifically, how do we as in how do Jen and I identify what our impact is? And so along those lines, what we want to do is talk about the homework. So the homework from the last episode was to identify or to ask somebody how you influence them. And several of our folks did the homework. And so right now, as you're out there in the omniverse, please, if you ask somebody, even previously, about how it is you impact them, share that in the comments. It's a practice that I've been working on for a couple of years now to really understand. There's a thought in my head of what I think people value about me, and hovering in that assumption could cause me to underserve them. But finding out exactly what it is they value from me is a different level. And then I can like invest and really leverage on the things that people appreciate about me to provide them even greater value. So I'm what do you think? We go to George Hunt and see what George's homework was?
Yes. So before we do that, so again, also when you ask someone else how you impact them, you start a conversation. So making assumptions is one thing, where I just assume I know my value and I know what I'm bringing to the table. Even making assumptions on what I think they are going to say, but to be able to have that conversation and ask, then you're starting that dialogue. And the dialogue to me is where the magic is, because once you know it, then it's like, not only this is what you're doing, but then, hey, how can that grow? How can we learn? How can we get better together? That's a whole different ballgame.
Nailed it. So we got George Hunt up here. He did it. He says, I actually did my homework. There's a first time for everything. And the feedback he got was that he shows up as himself every time, which makes things feel consistent and safe, right? Is that not like an important thing?
Perfect.
What else does he say here? He doesn't intimidate people with his smarts because he is a very intelligent person. And he's always trying to think from the other side of things. Is that an easy thing to do, Jen?
Showing up and being able to value what you're bringing, but also like show up and be truthful, be honest, and own what you're bringing. I think that's, if you go back to his comment, if you can pull it back up, it really, and I don't know, George, you can tell us in the comments, but like what you wrote there to me is what makes me uncomfortable. When I'm not only, it's not the conversations, I can have those all day, every day. I can have those conversations with people, but you're owning some impact right here. You're owning some things that someone told you. And to me, that's another level, like identifying, here's some things that people are telling you that the value you bring and the impact you have. Okay, people were like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's so easy for, so now we're asking the question. And Amy, I know Amy said it was so uncomfortable, but asking the question is one thing. And then you get the feedback. And we're not quite to the point of owning yet, but like we haven't dug into that one, but that's a whole nother thing that we struggle with. When someone gives us a compliment, it's like we want to dive into the negative stuff. But when someone gives us a positive, hey, here's what you're bringing, here's the value you have, we almost discount it. We almost like don't lean in and acknowledge it and have that conversation, because it's like, oh yeah, that's, we want to know the bad. We want to know the negative. We want to know what we can improve. We don't stop and think about, if we're bringing value and we're having a conversation with someone and they're telling us, here's what you do, why is there not growth there? Why is there not learning there? Why can we not lean in that conversation and really understand, here's what I show up with. Here's the value I bring to someone else. Because for me, if someone's saying that to me, well, crap, that's the value I'm probably bringing to other people. And so then what can I do now with that? And I think sometimes we struggle in that space.
Yes, and we got a comment on that from the
Yes.
homework assignment.
All right.
So I'm going to share Miss Sanaz, who connected with her on Clubhouse. And by the way, there's going to be a Clubhouse after party today.
Yep.
Assigned the homework. She hit me up on the messaging on LinkedIn. She says, okay. She asked me what it is I value about her. And I shared that I value her honest and courageous curiosity. Like, out of nowhere, she reached out, not out of nowhere, but she just reached out one time and said, hey, I want to do some podcasting on my channel. Will you do it with me? I was like, yeah, like that's super cool. And so again, the courageous curiosity, she's in school, she's studying to be an architect. And she's got a very giving spirit. Like her message is just like all positive, real human connection. I mean, how do you not appreciate that sort of thing, right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So going back to the chat,
okay,
we got Miss Christy. She's asking you, Jennifer, how does she impact you? How does Miss Christy?
Oh my gosh. So Chrissy, I've not even been able to meet her face to face, but I get to next week, which I'm super excited about, because there's a women confidence event that is like, I'm super excited to go and get to connect to some of the people I have met in our space. But what Chrissy, what you've done for me is, when I'm out on LinkedIn and I try to be out there a lot and just connect to different people, the people you are connected with and the people that you bring value to, because I see it and I watch it, are people I want in my space. I want to be where they are, and you connect me to them. And so even though I don't know them, they're all over the world. They're in your, small area there, but you're also connected to so many other people. And so I value that wherever you are is a space I want to be.
10-4, beautiful. Look, Adam doing his homework, bringing it in at the last minute. And if you're a lean practitioner, we could hide this under just-in-time delivery. Just whose impact homework says make theory practical, understand the complex, and make it understandable for all. So, and yes, he does that, and that brings value to people. So I'm going to share Miss Yesenia did some homework.
Yes.
And not a surprise, she has been like on fire, sharing, taking in all the 5S.
So let me real quick, let me tee it up and then you share. So Yesenia, great friend of mine, jumped on last time we were on a live stream. First time she jumped on. So she hadn't been in our space, and then she came in 2 weeks ago. I'm going to give her, and like got on fire, got excited about some stuff, went in and has been connecting with us on LinkedIn, and then watched one live stream, which was the wrap up of our 5S. And again, shared with me that it really emotionally impacted her. And then she went and watched all the episodes, and like, and to really get the gist of what we were talking about, and gave us great feedback. And again, we value you, Yesenia, for so much, but just to be able to, one, see something, connect it, and then go back and do extra homework. She got extra credit, but and then just being able to share how that's impacted her. It's cool because we continue to see how these ripples are happening. It's one person here, one person there, but then that impacts another person. Demetria is a really good friend of both of ours, and so seeing Demetria on today, she got up early, so it's just one ripple at a time, but they are happening.
Yes. And she got some pretty solid, like inspiring feedback. And I'm assuming, Yesenia, like you may have been surprised by some of the feedback and felt like, wow, you feel appreciated. But again, more importantly, we learn exactly what it is that people value about us. And like Jennifer said, we start canceling out the assumptions. Now, Yesenia mentioned our buddy Simon, who has also been very active out there spreading the message. And Simon was like, he had a little discomfort with asking people how he impacted them. And so And this resonated with me tremendously because I'm still there, right? Jen, you're always calling me on it, telling me that I need to own my impact. And so Simon shared, like, and this is the beautiful thing, the vulnerability that the NoBS Tribe is demonstrating on the live streams, in the LinkedIn post, and like, we couldn't have imagined anything, but it
That's
is
all I can
magical.
say. It's magical because
Yes.
people are showing up and they are just showing up. They're showing up as their true self, and they're allowing themselves to get vulnerable. They're putting themselves out there in that discomfort zone, which is the best place to be. But it's so scary and it's so not typical of what we engage with.
100%. And so Simon says, hey, that's funny. I didn't mean to say it. Like, anyways,
Yeah.
Simon said, my comfort zone lies much more in stating what I appreciate about others, right? Ditto. So he realized that he was avoiding the homework. And the language that he used was, it's uncomfortable to solicit a compliment. And I'm with you, man. Like, I don't think it's cool when people are like trying to, like, did you notice my hair? Or did you notice, like, no, like, you have it every day. How would I notice your hair? So it's not necessarily soliciting a compliment. What we want to do is understand how we are serving, because what I think I'm doing may not be what they value. Again, I've said it a few times now. But it's really to help us check our assumptions. And he did some extra credit, right? He said that he appreciates me bringing enthusiasm and positivity to this growing group on the daily, baby. Heck yeah. Thank you for that, because I need that, because I think I'm bringing positivity. I don't know until I go out and seek that feedback. And so that's the thing. Confirmation, figure out, are we serving the way we intend to serve?
Jesse, I want to add to that, because in our 5S stuff, this came up and it just triggered one of the things that came up in our 5S is the mirroring of people. When people are coming up and they're showing, they're sharing something with you, or they're having a conversation with you, which came up in the 5S in relationships live streams. How are you then mirroring that back? And so sometimes it doesn't have to be this vocal, here's the words that I want to give you. But if you show up and you're high energy and then I'm high energy, you're usually going to be able to say, okay, this is a good interaction. This is a good, we're feeding off each other. This is working. Or you show up and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good. Like the mirroring of people sometimes, and just how you're the nonverbal things. I think sometimes we forget to look for those things. And in this space, it's hard because sometimes we're behind a computer, or we're looking and seeing, we're not seeing things like we would if we would be in person. But I don't think it's hard, because again, you and Adam and I talk a lot on the phone, where we're not videoing, but there's times where even I think a comment will be made and we're like, okay, wait a minute, let's dig into that a little bit. Let's keep talking. And you can tell someone's kind of hesitating, but you have to be listening to those things, and you have to be really paying attention to what's going on. And that's happening more because of this space that we're creating.
Yes. And I've got to give a shout out to Hamlin. So Hamlin says the feedback they received was they valued the work ethic, continual pursuit of knowledge, candor, and wit. And now y'all have seen it in the chat. Miss Amy Campbell went out there and she didn't mess around. She got feedback from 7 people. And she almost like discredited all her hard work. It says, I got it from 7 safe people. Asking one person is terrifying, whether they're safe or not. So well done. And before that, she recruited Handlin to be her accountability buddy. And she admitted in the chat, like, well, I was kind of hoping we just kind of forget about it. Handlin did not forget about it and got Amy to do her homework. And that's what we're talking about. This is a community. We're going to support each other.
Don't let Hamlin go away real quick, because I want to give a shout out to him. So he worked at Robinson Morton for a while, and when he says continual pursuit of knowledge. So I went out, got my CM Lean certification. That was a big deal for me. Hamlin went and did that on his own. While he was here, he was asking me questions. What about this? I'm thinking about this. And he went out and did that on his own when he had some time to be able to grow that knowledge. And I mean, like, I want to give him a shout out for that, because when you're out there and you're doing that stuff because you know the value of it, man, that's a big deal. So I value that in you very much, Hamlin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we got some more vulnerability, and I just got to put it up on the screen. I'm guessing this is Kirby with the unicorn.
Unicorn, yep.
Right, and this is like live. This is what happened. Her significant other asked her last night why this exercise made her uncomfortable. She explained to him that in the world she grew up in, there were no compliments or positive praise beyond getting a smiley face on an assignment from a teacher. She was raised in an environment where there were expectations to perform, and if you didn't, the result was disappointment, and trying hard to achieve those goals dictated to you. You showed up and did. There was no acknowledgement, etc. Right? So it goes on. This is the thing that we're working to overcome. There's conditioning out there that has put us in a place or a mode of operation that really robs us of our joy. And getting vulnerable and talking about it, like, damn, talk about what do we got? Gangster culture warriors going on out there.
Culture gangsters. That's what we give. Shout out to Adam Hoots. So CGs, we got some culture gangsters. And we're going to keep growing that. So again, before we, it's Amy Campbell. Sorry, I thought it was Kirby. But anyway, Either way, we're giving shout outs. So you have a tool that you use to help solicit, to help with some of this conversation. So some people struggle. Like, some people can show up and they can just ask and they can get it and they can take it. And based on all of our comments, we got some people that maybe struggle a little bit with starting that conversation. You have a tool that you've used over time and perfected it and kind of used it with tell us about that, Jesse.
Okay. So yes, I have a tool. I am a feedback addict. And, one thing that here's the other end of it, right? We struggle at giving feedback. So I would ask people after facilitating a group conference or doing some one-on-one coaching with executives, like whatever it was, I would ask for feedback, like what feedback? And they say, oh, it was good. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, no, that's not what I'm. So, I was frustrated and I said, man, what is, like, I'm not getting what I want, but I'm also not being very clear about what I'm trying to get. And so I created this survey. It really is a survey. And it's questions like, what are the things I do that help you trust me? What are the things I do that you appreciate about me? What is it about my style that makes you want to continue interacting with me? It was these types of questions. And the people that filled out that survey, like, the information that they gave me was like, whoa, I was like, I didn't know that. Like, I need to be aware of that so that I can serve them more appropriately. And so the QR code that's up on the screen right now, y'all, it's a bunch of questions. So the QR code, if you scan it or whatever you got to do to make it work, it's going to take you. Yeah, take a picture. Thank you. you might want to fax it. I don't know. It's going to take you to a little survey for you to share your contact information with, email address, your name. And we're going to use that as an indicator to share that survey with you so that you can either fill it out. We have one that will be feedback about Jennifer and I, and we can send you a template so that you can use that, modify it, adjust it, whatever. I've heard, I can't remember. I don't know if it was Adam, rip and deploy, R&D, right? Like, use it, take it, use it, apply it, make it work for you. And there's also a question on this little survey that is about, there's like a party coming up, not the after party. There's a different kind of party coming up, Jen.
Happening next month.
What's happening?
I don't know, Jesse. I think, oh my gosh. So part of the poll. So there was a poll out there talking about a book that may be coming out next month, and we're looking at the title, and we wanted to get feedback on that. But we're going to have a book launching event, and we want to make sure all of our tribe is there. So this will also get you the invite to the book launch, I believe, right?
100%. Just check yes or no. And if you want to be at the book launch, come on with it. We had a poll out there for y'all to give us feedback on the title. We got beautiful feedback on title and subtitles, and again, loving all the support. Oh, there you go. Adam's corrected me. He says, nope, R&D is Harry Schmidt with O'Shea Builders. Rip and deploy. Boom. Got it. We got Mr. Jesse Kohanic. What's going on? Says, knocking down your own barriers are the first steps to success. Like, yes. Exactly.
Hey, go to Buddies. He actually, he probably did his homework like on the right. Like he's just sharing it right now.
There he is. He says he asked a coworker, and some of the comments were, he cares about people. He's there 24/7. Yes. And he tried to deflect, but it turned into a sharing discussion. Exactly. Exactly. Right. Like that's what it's about. Let's connect and let's talk on real terms. Let's just be real people, because what are the processes in our projects without people, Jennifer?
I mean, like, what is anything without people? Like, if we can have the policies and the procedures and the tools and all the systems thinking, and we can have all the last planner boards, we can have all those things. But if we don't have people there, it doesn't matter.
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was Amy or Kirby or everybody is like, man, they're just up there talking and talking and talking. When are we going to get to the damn thing? Like this identifying your impact. So
yes.
Should we talk about that? What do you?
Yeah, maybe so. We're gonna start with you because I'm in control of it right now. So last time we kind of talked a little bit about, how I started trying to figure this out. You didn't do a whole lot of talking. So Jesse, right now our goal today was to talk about how do we identify our impact? How do we figure that out? So that's the first step before we own it. We've got some people that are kind of in that first step. Maybe they're starting to help, trying to figure out. George is kind of moving a little bit more on the owning piece, but identifying that. How did you, or how are you identifying your impact on our industry, in this world, and stuff like that?
Oh, man. Okay. So it wasn't easy. I mean, I just, you know what? I'm going to cheat and say, well, I'm going to share the survey. Like, that's how I do it. No, it's, there's a few kind of scary things that I'll go back to my days at TD Industries when I was a plumbing foreman. There were things that bugged me, right? Just the way we operated, or, just everything bugged me really. And there's a period of time where I would just kind of tolerate that stuff, but it like stole my joy, right? It gave me angst. I was frustrated. It didn't leave me in a good place. So I started taking action on those things. And that was an uncomfortable space, because really I was taking action on those things to make my day better. And it was selfish motivation, right? Right out the gate, I just like, man, I ain't having a good time. I'm going to start doing this. What I started noticing though, was that it was helping the people directly around me. And when I say people, it was it was Gary, it was Tony, it was Chris Shapey, and Oscar Bustamante. That was the team on that first job that I ran as a foreman. And they were like, we're having a little bit more fun, and we're doing different things and growing. It's like, oh, that's interesting. So I started doing more of it, and so it was kind of this silent feedback loop. And then I had an idea, I would do something, and then I would observe the people, how they responded. But I still wasn't like totally aware. I was like, oh, okay, that's working. They're not mad at me. I'm going to keep doing that. And as I went along in my career, that thing kept growing. But I never asked, like, is this what you value about me? I just kind of sat on the idea of, well, if I do stuff and it helps people, that's what I should do. How does that land so far?
Well, it's the first step. You're seeing and acknowledging what how the response in other people. So I think that's huge. And I think that it goes back to the verbal and nonverbal. And so you said you were leaning on kind of watching and observing, and not so much getting that direct feedback on, here's how this is helping me, how this is not helping me, or, hey, I had a piece of that. I influenced that. like you weren't quite there. You were just watching it and kind of taking a little bit of credit here, taking, okay, maybe, maybe that's something that I did, but it wasn't you, really taking it and knowing that it was something that you were doing. You were just kind of giving yourself a little bit of credit here and there. It sounds like
that was it. It was kind of like, okay, looking for some signals that said they're not going to hate me. I'm not going to get fired. I'm just going to keep doing this. And then that led to me putting together some transitional training, right, to help people transition from installer to foreman and from foreman to superintendent, because I had walked that path and it sucked. It was like I was a really great installer. And they said, man, you're pretty good at installing. We're going to promote you. And then I sucked as a foreman. And so I had to figure that out. And then I got pretty good at being a foreman, and they promoted me again, and I sucked again. And so now in that experience, it was very painful. Like for me, it was difficult because I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't really, I had references in my, like people that I had worked with of how I didn't want to lead. But it really wasn't anything that like connected all the dots. And also because I'm obsessive. So I went to go and learn as much as I could about our estimates and the whole thing. And so I was able to connect those things. And again, I was like, well, this is making my day better. What if I share that with the guys? And it's, again, now it was also selfish motivation because the company I was with, we had a, what do you call it? Bonus system. So if the project finished under budget, 30% of the profits that were above margin were distributed back to the team.
Whoa.
Right. So if we could execute our work and beat the budget, I'm going to get a bonus. So I had some financial incentive to like help people with stuff. So I put some training together, and let me tell, like I found a while back, I found the jump drive that I had the original training on. Oh my, it was horrible. It was like days and days and days of random content, anything and everything that I learned, and I was shoving it down people's throats. So like, I'm sorry, y'all. I know what I did. Please forgive me. I've improved. But so I started doing that, delivering the training and helping, and I started seeing them. Now, this is kind of where the light bulb came on. I started seeing their careers expand, and I started seeing their lifestyles change, right? Their income was increasing. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like the material's awesome, right? Again, the material, the content. Yeah. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And so here's a, like, straight up, I had to start believing, and even mostly faking, pretending like I believed that the people around me that were coming to the classes and applying whatever stuff was coming out of my mouth, and the leaders in the organization that said, you know what, we're going to make you the full-time trainer because this is going to affect our business. And you got to deliver the material because it's your passion, your energy, your experience around it that is making the difference. Okay. I still couldn't connect to that.
No, so I got a question for you. So what I'm hearing is, number one, you showed up.
Yep.
Okay? You had to show up. You had to do something for the first time. And
yep.
Anytime, we all know when you do something for the first time, it's probably going to suck, or it's probably not going to be great. We have to own that. Like anytime, it's just, that's what it is. But what I also heard, and you tell me, because I want to make sure I'm getting this right, is you started seeing what you were doing and how it was impacting projects and the people outside of you. Okay, so there's that. So what you were doing when you were showing up, what got you excited when you showed up to do any of those things? When you were walking in the room and you were still trying to figure out, you still weren't owning it. What were you excited about when you walked in the room?
Oh, so one, I was excited. What would excite me is, like, the only way I can describe it is like the light bulbs. It is a group of guys. Hell, this was the fun part. Like the early iterations of the training, we did it at the bar, right? We were at Coach's Corner on West Avenue here in San Antonio. 3 or 4 of us would meet. Jerry Chavez was out there with me most of the time. Maybe we drank a little more than studied. But what I loved was the light, like like, man, I wish I knew that. Like, got it. Like you knew in that moment, whatever we talked about stuck in such a way that it was going to change the way they were going to do things going forward, and it was going to minimize their pain. So it was those little light. They didn't happen all the time, but when that light bulb hit, man, for me it was like, oh, okay, good. I'm not wasting anybody's time. Like, okay, good. Like, I'm not just here flapping my gums. So it was the light bulbs, just that indication that something landed in such a way that it was going to be carried forward.
Well, no judgment on the bar. No, that's great. No judgment on the bars, because I'm going to tell you, and I can speak to this too. The relationships that were built, the connections that were built, the conversations that happen may not always be at a bar, but they're not always in the training room either. So we've got to be open to one, whether you drink or don't drink, it is irrelevant. That when you're there and you're outside of that normal workspace, sometimes it allows for other conversations to happen. You know, this week I had a conversation with someone that is super dear to me, and she met her future husband at a after hours work event, and they've been, he's one of our superintendents, and so it's really cool to watch how that has grown and that relationship has grown. But like, they met at an event after hours, and now you're going to be a family, and it's just some really cool things that we don't need to discount. And I know sometimes like work-life balance and stuff, and when you go through the gate and you come through the gate, that's all we lean into that space. But there's also carryover, because I know that the people that I work with, I care about them. I spend a lot of time with them, and they are family, and I care about their families, and I care about the conversations we have. And those are things we need to make sure that we are open to and we're receptive to, and we don't discount, and people are at different levels, but I feel like that's super important. When you said that, it was, I think what hit me was you were there, you showed up in a place that they were comfortable. And I know Felipe and Jake are going to hit some go to space or something. They're going to hit something next week that, you have to go to where they are, and you have, whatever, you have to
meet them where they're at.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, they're going to do that. But it's like, you have to go in a place where they're willing to be, where they're comfortable. They'll be a little more vulnerable in that space. Yes. And sometimes it's a training room, sometimes. But what I also heard, and Adam, maybe you can put it in the link. If you will, this morning, Adam tagged me in a LinkedIn post, and I don't remember the name, and I don't want to mess it up, but it was about honesty and trust. And it was really about honesty and telling the truth and showing up like that. So I'm going to go back to you and ask you, as you were talking through your story, and you were saying you were showing up and you were having these conversations. I mean, you were just being honest. I'm guessing, just based on what you were just being you, and you were just sharing the truth.
Yes. So I was absolutely sharing my truth, my experience, right? I wasn't all caught up in my head, right? Because we can get all stuck in our head. Like, oh, what if I'm wrong? And believe me, I've been there many times. But it was easy when I would speak from my experience. I wasn't speaking from concept. I wasn't speaking from theory. It's what the hell I actually lived. And it took a long time for me to really understand that the experience, like every single one of us out there in the omniverse, we are full. We bring a lifetime worth of experience. And that experience is valuable. And if we don't share it, we are underserving our community. But it took me a while for me to say, my goodness, my experience is valuable. Like, when I say a while, I was training for like 2.5 years before I realized, oh crap, like this whole thing is from my experience. And we're having real business results. Like, oh, did I do that? That sort of thing. And Carol Del Vecchio, y'all got to follow her on LinkedIn. Totally positive. Thank you for jumping in and joining the chat. She says it takes courage to step out into the unknown and make mistakes and be vulnerable. And so why are we even talking about owning your impact or identifying your impact and being vulnerable? This is why. To get out into the world and impact the people the way we want to impact them, it takes courage. You're going to have to do things that challenge you, that put you way outside of your comfort zone. But if you don't do those things, guess what doesn't happen, Jennifer?
You're never gonna. Oh, you're never. Oh. Those ripples are never going to happen. You're never going to make that one connection. And again, Stephanie just said it. And I agree, Stephanie, you're right. Some people are better in one-on-ones, but I didn't meet you in a one-on-one. I didn't get introduced to you in a one-on-one. I got introduced to you in a clubhouse room. So I hear you, and you're absolutely right. But that doesn't mean that you weren't outside of your comfort zone. But that's how I connected with you. And that's how my world grew, because you were now in it. So I want to make sure that those ripples only happen because we are willing to put ourselves in a place, get vulnerable, but also make those connections. That, again, I'm looking at all these names over here, and every one of those people, like 6 months ago, I don't even know if I was connected to 99% of them. Yes. And those ripples have happened with us and with the things that we're doing and the things that we're able to be out there doing. And it's again, it's amazing. I say it's magical. It's all these things. So keep doing them, keep sharing, keep doing. I mean, I'm watching all the stuff. It's like there's this whole going over here without even us.
I know. They're like, shut up, y'all. We're trying to have a good time over here. Dr. M, yes, loving the interaction. Please, if y'all don't know this, but like for real, after we get off the after party, I'm gonna go and like read all the comments and I get super excited. I'll probably make some posts from them. It is extremely meaningful. Now, so back to the topic at hand. Yes. So when I start here was a thing, a couple of things that are really important. I just put a post on our NoBS channel on YouTube about like that comfort, building the comfort, like receiving, accepting, and owning what I was seeing, but I still wasn't taking ownership of it. I just had to believe, like the people that I've surrounded myself with. Adam and I had a conversation, and I'm not the only one that does this. We all do this. We design our lives, right? Either intentionally or unintentionally, our lives are under constant design. And what that means is the people in your life are there on purpose, not on accident, because you can kick them out and you can go recruit some new people, or you can keep them in your life. And so the people in my life are like breathing confidence into me and breathing self-worth into me, which I, didn't have. And so I finally had to surrender to these people are good people. They're doing good things in the world. I need to believe them. Even if I don't believe it, I just had to believe that what they were saying was true. So that took a long time to grow.
Just don't lose your thought, because I want to lean in a little bit, because this happens and I know people see it, but they don't say anything. So Jesse, before you got there, before you got to where you are right now, and you're owning a little bit of it from the outside, would people have known that? Would people have known just watching you, seeing you, talking about your hair and your salsa dancing? Would they have known that you were not in a place of owning it and believing in yourself, or based on your outward persona and the things that you were saying and doing? If they didn't listen, they didn't really stop and take a moment and connect with you, would they have known that?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to pose that to the group, because I still struggle with it. And so everybody out there in the Omniverse, like, can you tell that I got jacked up insecurities in my head? Like thumbs up for yes, heart for no. I don't know, something. So that's a beautiful question. And I'm going to use Thomas's comment to kind of reinforce this. So the question is it cowardly to not be vulnerable, compartment your work life, and have an inward mindset? Right? That's a big question. I'll tell you this. The way that I masked my insecurities was an unhealthy way of masking those insecurities. So if you've known me over 10 or 15 years, I'm like, the outcomes of my behavior are extremely different than what they used to be 10, 15 years ago. And so what I mean by that is people probably couldn't have picked up on the insecurities or me not feeling confident about what I was doing or having a low self-image. Like they would not have told. But man, the things I was doing, the way I was treating people, the way I valued my relationships, 100% indicated that I didn't believe any of it. I kept doing it, but because I hadn't come to terms with, like, I'm a human being, and always just latched on to all the mistakes and the shortcomings and the people that I've let down, like that's what I held on to. The way that manifested was in disrespect, like disrespecting myself, disrespecting my community, disrespecting the people around me. And it wasn't like overtly disrespect. It was the way I showed up, the way I presented myself, the compartmentalization that Thomas is talking about. At work, it was about work, and we're going to make work happen. I ain't got time. Like people would say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm late. Like, don't be sorry, be on time. That doesn't feel good. That's how I communicated. I'm going to be a couple minutes late. Okay. So 7:02. Well, no, like traffic's bad. I was like, okay, so that's not a couple minutes. That's not respectful. That's how it came out. Now, after I started, and like seriously, professional help, sometimes it was court mandated, sometimes it was by choice. I got help to understand and really work with my insecurities, right? And work with valuing myself. The greatest help I get from is my friends, especially like our NoBS Tribe, have contributed tremendously to me showing up as my full self. So more and more, I'm becoming okay with showing up as myself. Now, another thing that motivated me to say, man, like I am having impact and my words carry weight. I didn't realize, I went in my career transit, and we got a ton of leaders on the call right now. Like we got the biggest contractors in the nation. We've got representatives from them on the call. We got folks with significant responsibility and influence. On the call. Mm-hmm. And just in case you are not aware of this, I want you to make sure you tattoo this thing in the back of your eyelids. Our position amplifies our words. I had a few leaders, right? There were some amazing people in my life that believed in me and were able to see through all the BS that I was putting out there and said, bro, like, I understand your work is work, home is home, but the way you live outside of work does not serve you well. And you got to understand the things that you're doing because of the influence you have, you're signaling to those people that it's okay to do those things. And it really isn't. And like, whoa, that there was like, whoa, I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about the influence that my behaviors and external actions were having on people in their decision making.
Well, Jesse, that I think, and I want to kind of bring it back around here, is that's why we're here. Like that, like what you just said. I mean, I'm hearing you talk and everything you're saying, and it's like that is the reason that we need to lean in to when Jesse leaves the job and he goes out the gate. Where's he going? What's he doing? Who's he interacting with? What do those conversations look like? What is he showing up to with everything on his shoulders and everything in his head and everything he's carrying from the job? What are you then showing up to? Are you needing your mental health, your physical health, just every, spiritual health, all of those things? What are you bringing with you that is impacting those things because of how heavy it is and how much your constraints, all of the things that you're having to carry with you, that space. Yes. Okay. That's not kind of important to us. And then also those of us, and we had people on here talking about their significant others, their kids, we have all these people, because I do it too, that we have this space that is at home or, with our friends or what that looks like at the bar, whatever it is. What happens there and what are the things that are happening there that are weighing heavy on us.
Mm.
And I mean, I know I'm going to give shout outs just because some of these people, like Demetria, has taken so much on herself and personally to be able to care for her family and to do things and taking extra responsibilities. And and I know how she shows up. Like I know, because I'm a part of it, how she shows up every day. Not everyone knows what she's carrying with her when she shows up.
Mm.
And so how does that impact her decisions? How is that going to impact her business? How's that going to impact her relationships? How does that play into the things that she's doing at work because of what she's trying to do at home? Like that space is important. And so you're talking, and I know you're talking about both sides, but it's so important to think about what you're going through the gate and talking about, but also what you're bringing back in that gate. And then how does that, and I was thinking about you going 2 minutes, and what do you mean 2 minutes? You're going to whatever, but like someone else could be coming in with something heavy, that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is just, it's significant. And we have meetings that are so important, but if someone's coming in with something heavy, your response to that message, that text, that phone call could like make or break something.
Yep.
And so what are you doing? How are you showing up to that conversation instead of, in like you said, that attack, that weaponizing mode, and just this is this and this is that and that's it. Like that's the reason this space exists.
Yes, because we are human at work and outside of work, right? Like what the purpose is, like let's demo the divide, both sides of the gate. We're human beings at work. We're human beings outside of work. For so long, I spent way too much energy, like compartmentalizing, separating that thing. And I was miserable on both sides. and now it's showing up, right? Like Nakash says, he's got some rethinking happening, right? He can believe it, but is he owning it, right? What is the impact that you're having? We got Mike Kyman. Yeah, he knows. He's breathed a lot of awareness into me. He says he knows it, he saw it, and he's seeing it less and less as I gain confidence. And so Miss Kim White has helped me clarify, because I have some stuff that gets me twisted. There is a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? Confidence is sexy, arrogance is not. So before I started coming to terms with the value that I brought, what you would see or what I would display was arrogance, because it wasn't me taking ownership of the appropriate things or even being aware of the fact that I was serving to a greater degree. I was arrogant about my dancing skills and my smile, like all this really superficial junk that goes away. But again, so how do I identify my impact? I surround myself with amazing human beings, right? Demetria says, say that again. I surround myself with amazing human beings. Like that's how I identify my impact. I get to see the way they roll, and the culture gangsters that are out there making a positive impact on people's lives, on their community, and everybody and everything that they touch. They slip up once in a while, but guess what? They're also human. They're like human, just like me. And so
Jesse,
that's going to happen.
Also, let's make sure we add to that. Oh, yes. But not only do you surround yourself with amazing people, because I'm going to tell you, I'm surrounded by these people over here, and it just makes my world better. But those people will call me on my stuff. Mm-hmm. And those people around you will call you on your stuff. And it's not just amazing people doing amazing things, and we're rocking and we're rolling and we're all in, our arms are connected. I mean, again, that's important. And we've realized that this tribe, we are together and we are showing up together and we are there to help each other. But part of that help is not just the smile and the nod and the, you got this, good job, whatever. Like that's important, but that is not all that's there. And it's so important. And Jesse knows this. I will call him on something in 2 seconds. And if he's saying something that doesn't make sense, or you can tell he's kind of deflecting, or he's just gonna, he's gonna do the checkbox and keep going. If you're there and you're in those spaces with people, you cannot let them do that. You cannot. You have to ask the next question. You have to go, okay, this is what I hear, but what about this? because if they're deflecting, they're in this space that they're grappling within their head. Do I say it? Do I not say it? I want to be safe. I'm just going to say this. If you push them a little bit and ask another question, you could get them there. So you have to make sure that you're listening and you're paying attention and you're there in that space with them. And if you see them in that place where they're kind of deflecting or they're not quite giving you the answer, Adam's really good at calling both of us out on this. He's like, okay, wait a minute. I don't think that you answered the question, but what is that next question? And the three of us, Adam, Jesse, and I say that all the time. But what's that next question? Because if you ask the next question, it will change the dynamic of the conversation.
Yeah. And it takes courage. So I want to go to Stephanie and come back to the courage thing. Stephanie
Yes.
Brown, we got the book reading club starting tomorrow. Ho, ho.
Yes.
Yeah, you better do your reading.
Stuff everywhere. I know. I forgot about that. But that's right. Yes.
She's already sent out like a synopsis. So cheat sheet for the slackers. I'm one of them. We're going to be on the call. She says, I find if my interior life is not in a good place, my exterior work life is infinitely harder, like internal. Steve Turner posted, I lost it because thank you all. Y'all are like lighting up the chat, like gold out there for everybody here. Go ahead.
Can we also shout out Steve Martin? Because again, I feel like he's just taken the ownership of being our marketing rep out there. He is tagging us in the snow. He's creating hashtags. He is giving us the NoBS waves and the tribe and the ripples, and that he is everywhere. And he has given us so much love, and I want to give him some love. And he's got some amazing stuff out there too. So make sure you're following him, because he is following us and he is helping us.
Yes. And that's a reminder, y'all in the chat, follow each other. Because this group, this is a like solid group, man. Like these people got some stroke.
I mean, like we could do some stuff.
Oh yeah. And so Carol says, I was talking about courage, and I'll jump into Carol. She says, our time so desperately need open and honest conversations. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, 100%. And so the courage in giving feedback, like receiving feedback, here's another cheat code as you go around identifying your impact. The only appropriate response to feedback is thank you. That's it.
So hard. It's so hard. That is the appropriate feedback. Yes.
You say thank you. So, and sometimes it's stinky and it hurts a little bit. Say thank you, like thank you. You like just thank you. And the reason why it's so important is when we seek feedback and people give us that, they're courageous and honor us appropriately and give us that stinging feedback. The natural reaction, our instinct, is to explain why it was weird. But the way that comes across is defensive. And so I'll tell you, like, if you ask me for feedback, I give you feedback and you start dancing around, whatever, well, it's because of this, it's because of that. And really what I was trying to do, blah, blah, blah. My brain does some real quick calculus and says, oh, they didn't really want feedback. I hurt their feelings. So I can't be, what's the word? Candid with this person. So guess what you're going to get from me next time? Keep doing what you're doing, which isn't going to serve you.
Right. So I got two things to say. One, I got a story, but I want to, we've talked about this before, is it goes back to at the job site. We talk about, I know we're in a lean space. We talk about Last Planner. We talk about our daily huddles. We talk about our boards, and it goes back to that constraint log and those daily huddles when we have them. You and I talk about this over and over again. The one time that one person in that meeting voices something outside of the norm, they're vulnerable, they are willing to share something because they know that it's important, and that meeting becomes something different and you weaponize what that is, they will never do it again. They will never bring up something that's important. They will not give feedback. They'll do just what you said. Great job, smile and nod. I can do that. I can take care of that. And then they'll go do what they've been doing. And if we're looking to change an industry, we're looking to change cultures, we're looking to change environments to better everything about everything we live every day, we've got to stop and realize we cannot weaponize those spaces. We can't. So that's I'm going to preach that over and over again, because it's so important to make sure that we're creating those spaces. But once they were willing to step in and get vulnerable, we can't just then attack them.
Right. Because it's maybe the first time that they got, Steve Turner said earlier, he's 100 miles outside of his comfort zone, like 10-4, Big Daddy, because me too. Thomas drops this one. He says, presenteeism, showing up in person, but not in mind and spirit. What do you think about that, Jen?
That's real. I mean, how many times, again, I feel like that the lack of that is what created the space for me to be where I'm at right now, is just because I don't know how to show up that way. And I struggled with it by not being fully there and fully sharing and fully, giving my feedback and stuff. And so it's real. And there's a lot of people that, like I just said, they'll just show up, they're smile and nod. They all they're wanting to do is get done with that to go do something else. That's it. Yes. They're not, whatever that space is you're creating is irrelevant. If you've not created that psychological safety, you've not created that safe environment. Okay, Bree, boop, boop, shout out. Yep. Follow her. She's got some great content on psychological safety. She's doing some amazing things out there too. So make sure you follow her. But that is, if we're not creating those spaces, and not just creating going safe space, safe environment, show up, we want to hear what you have to say. If you are not giving them also the acknowledgement, and then in empowering them to understand that by sharing and by doing that, they're making things better, and not using it as something that now you can use against them, or now you can go back and they won't do it again. It's just, it is what it is. So I have a story I wanted to share about feedback.
Come on.
And so in this space over the last 6-7 months, started with your podcast. I'm a little bit more out there than I was before. And so have my brother, Brian, he's on, I don't know if he's on this morning, but Brian Lacey, if you'll follow him too, he's trying to figure out this whole LinkedIn thing. But anyway, super supportive of everything I've done, and has been with me through a lot of stuff. And so I started getting a lot more vocal and visibly out there. And so I shared the podcast with him, said, hey, look at this. This is cool, whatever. And he came back and he was like, Jen, that's great, but you didn't do this. You need to do this. You need to think about this. And they were like real, like they were like, you need to make sure you're answering the questions. You need to make sure you're giving, you're letting the other people speak. They were very good things. Like, he listened and he came with some really good feedback. And that was my first podcast ever. Like you just said, I could have gone, I could have done that. And, I still could have taken it. I didn't, because he loves me for anything and everything. And he will give me real candid feedback. And because I listened and I acknowledged it and I thanked him for it, the next 3 podcasts that I've been on, I've sent them to him and he's given me feedback, and each one has gotten better. And it's me trying to grow and learn. He's not in our industry. He is not someone that sees the things that I do on a daily basis. But because I listened and because I acknowledge the value he could bring, I'm getting better. And so it's an example of, if we listen and we acknowledge the feedback we're getting, good or bad, like you said, stinky or not, if we know the people are coming to us and they're coming to us true and real, and they want us to get better, it doesn't matter. It may not feel great at the beginning, but if they're wanting us to get better, we've got to acknowledge it and know that it's there to help us.
You got it. And with several posts up there said, radical candor, right? And Adam singing to me says, what's love got to do with it?
Everything, Adam, everything.
Right. Like, giving somebody that radical candor, that style of feedback of straight up, Mike commented, right? It's not always wrapped up in the really shiny wrapper that we want.
Yep.
Being courageous and giving someone that feedback about what you observe about them, how their behavior is not serving them or serving the mission, is an expression of love. Adam and I had a call earlier this week. because he'd been on my mind, and I had some feedback, an observation that I needed to share with him. And the truth is, when you start going there and sharing your like frank observations with other human beings, there is risk. There is risk that you're going to offend them, and there is risk that they will remove you from their life. But I love Adam enough to put that on the line. So that's what's love got to do with it.
Yes.
Big Daddy.
Exactly.
So Jen, we got 10 minutes.
Okay.
I got a question for you, since you've been asking me questions all this time.
Okay.
You know, and we're talking about identifying your impact and owning your impact. What are some words that you would love for people to describe your impact as?
Like what I think it is, or what I want it to be?
What do you want it to be?
That's pretty simple. So I want when people are with me or interact with me or around me, I want those words to be connections, relationships. I want it to be growth, and I want it to be just truth.
Truth.
Yeah, because it goes back. Adam did share that link that I was referencing earlier, so I want to make sure that if you haven't seen it, go look at it. But the whole post was about honesty, and I've shared this on probably a previous live stream. But I just know, growing up, single father, 4 kids, and you deal with a lot of things. One of the main things that my dad taught me growing up that I carry with me every single day is, when you tell the truth and you are honest in your conversations, you don't have to remember anything. And I like, that is when I am with people, and that's the feedback I get, and I'm going to own that, is that I show up the same every time. And the people in the comments, there's a lot of those people that I interact with in person, and hopefully they take that away from them, is that I show up the same every single time. When anything that comes out of my mouth, it is going to be real. It's going to be honest. And if I'm going to tell you, and all of y'all know this, you have the option. Oh, that's my baby girl. She's listening.
What's going on, Alex?
Oh, that was perfect. But I've realized that the more my brain just went just a second. So when you are showing up and you are honest and you are real, you have the option to just not talk. And I think that's what I've learned, is that if I'm in a place and I am quiet, that means something too, because there's nothing that's going to come out of my mouth that's not real, honest, true, and I don't believe it. And so I can choose not to speak, and I can choose not to say anything, and that's okay. But at no point am I going to misrepresent something because I didn't show up the way that people know that I'm going to show up. Cindy gave me love too. So anyway,
all the love. So I want to pose this question to everybody out there in the Omniverse. What were your takeaways from today's session? Let us know so that we'll bring some of them up here on the screen. But also it kind of gives an indicator to Jen and I, because like, for real, Jen, after we do this, it's like, what did I say? Did I cuss too much? I don't even remember.
Right.
What the hell did we talk about?
Like, hopefully we answered the question. I really don't know, but I think we try. So
yes, we absolutely. That is our intent. Cabri made a request to put the QR code back on the screen. And by the way, she got up extra early, 6 a.m. She's up in Washington to jump in first time.
I think it's Cabri. Just make sure
Cabri.
It's Cabri. Yes.
Cabri. Got it. Thank you. And I'm like, hey, we connected on LinkedIn, and I bombed her with invitations to all kinds of stuff, and she showed up. So thank you, Cabri. QR codes here. If you go all the way back up into the chat, you'll see the link to the Clubhouse after party, so that we can all like jump in and start talking and get to know each other.
You get to talk.
Better.
You don't have to listen to us talk.
Right. Y'all get to talk. We get to meet each other. And I heard Will Sullivan had shared a live stream with us about LinkedIn is going to be starting this audio feature Clubhouse-esque thing. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to be jumping into that so we can connect with all you amazing people out there.
Yes.
So again, what were your takeaways from today? Let us know. Dump that in the chat for us. We will appreciate that. Jen, I got another question for you.
Oh, gosh.
How do you feel about disappointing people?
Oh, really? You're going to hit that right now with 5 minutes left?
Got 5 minutes.
That's my kryptonite. You know that. Yours is,
Abandonment.
Mine is disappointment. It's everything I do and everything I wake up for every day, and every day when I go to bed, I reflect on, I don't want to disappoint. And part of it is the pressure I put on myself. Part of it is probably growing up in a family where I was having to take on a lot more responsibility than probably kids should have to take. But it's one of those that every day I wake up and Jesse, he laughs at me, but it's like, oh, today was a good day, or, oh, I don't know, can I sit and relax and feel like I'm in a good place? Like I just can't do that, because I just don't want to disappoint the people that have expectations of me, but also the things that I've committed to, or the people that rely on me. It's every day. I have to stop and like, okay, what am I doing? What am I, am I hitting the things that I'm supposed to be doing? And am I showing up for the people that, that need me? And that's every day. So that is, that's a whole nother session, I think.
Agreed. And the reason I threw it out there, because I just wanted to see you blush, but no, like a lot of us struggle with worrying about disappointing people. And so that makes me think of, like, especially like you and I are up here, like, I got to let you know that you're not disappointing me, because if I don't tell you that that actually you're impressing me and helping me thrive and grow as a human being, how do you know?
Right.
You don't know. So that's everybody's homework, right? Homework for between now and our next session is tell a few people in your space what it is you value about them. Some of y'all did the exercise of going out and asking and learning what people appreciate about you. That felt really good. Or maybe you didn't. It felt really uncomfortable, but there was an experience, there was learning, there was growth in that. So now it's the other side of that. Help communicate what it is you appreciate about other people, and get beyond the keep doing what you're doing. Like, give them some real meaningful feedback of how they touch you and help you feel or aspire to be a better human. To give a little shout out to Mr. Wells Sullivan there.
Okay. So when bring up James, I think it's important, and I love that that's being vulnerable, full vulnerability right there. So I think that we want to give him a shout out for sharing that, but two, it hits right on what we talked about. Yep,
100%. You are at risk, and so I'll say this: we're wanting, hoping, wishing, driving, pushing for people to be more vulnerable, and you're going to be exposed, and you're probably going to get hurt. And in those times, I want you to remember that you have this community, the No BS community, to come back to and draw from and seek out and share thoughts, or just whine and complain about how hard your life is. Like, that's what we're here for. Okay. Miss I got to do Janet.
You go and then I'm going to go.
Okay. So Janet's the awesomest. She moved all the way to San Antonio just for me. Not really. That's kind of the joke. She moved to San Antonio. She's an amazing leader out there in the industry. I left the company that I was with before she got here, and she's like, "Man, I thought I was going to be able to work with you," and then I, left her out there. So that, Janet, thank you for being here.
So I want to go. So you shared James's thing up there. Cabry came right back with a connect, and so again, this is the power of the tribe. And I know we're about to wrap up. Is James is here, and I know James personally. And James is a superintendent. Cabry, we just connected with. Cabry's up in Oregon, I think. She's a superintendent. And so what this space is creating and the connections that we're doing, what we're doing here is like, we are now creating this tribe and it is growing every day. And we ask you to bring people into it that need it and that we can benefit from it. But also that connection today now is something that now is going to grow, and those ripples are going to grow. And so we've got to lean into this space, because what just happened there with her acknowledging him and giving, now there's a connection that didn't exist before today.
Yep. And so that brings us up. We'll close with Miss Carol's comment there. Karma states that what you put out into the universe will come right back to you, baby. So we're putting out love, vulnerability, courage, all of the things. Y'all are amazing. We got like gazillion links. You got the QR code. Answer the questions. Do you want the little survey, the feedback, personal feedback survey? Do you want to be invited to the, we don't even know the title yet, to be determined, but we're launching a book in February.
It's a party and we're launching a book. So it's somewhere in there.
That's it. Let us know if you want to be there. We'll send you a calendar invite and all that good stuff. And we're going to wrap it up.
Okay. So follow the people in the chat. Once we go off live, it's going to be there. You can go back and look, connect with them. If y'all are sharing conversations about this, hashtag NoBS Tribe, because we want to grow that, and we want that to be something out there that people see it and they want to follow it and see what's going on here. So hashtag that. If you need any marketing stuff, talk to Steve Martin. He is a hashtag and all kinds of stuff. And so, again, please follow each other, because this is how we're going to grow.
100%. Love you all. Peace.